Hey guys, John Youshaei here, and I'm so excited to be at the Destination International Summit. And even though we're coming at you virtually, and even though this is 2020 with everything going on, I still think we can make this so much fun, make this so valuable, because you see, as someone who has spent many years working at YouTube in their marketing department, I learned so much there about how to make online video look good. From the lights to the cameras to the mics, I got all of that set up here in my San Francisco apartment. So I was like, you know what? Might as well put it to good use for this presentation. So if you're open to it, I wanted to try something new. So I wanted to actually go to my computer, and so what I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna move myself here. I'm gonna start the presentation here. And that way you can see me, my facial expressions, me pointing to different things on the screen, as well as the actual contents of the presentation, so you get as much value as possible, because I know there's a lot of VPs, CMOs, we all want to make sure that the destinations marketing that you do is going to be as top-notch as possible. So that's my goal here, as we all try to adapt to this new normal and still reach millions of people with our messages this year and beyond. So probably, if you've been a lot like me, you've been Zooming so much that even your dreams have been in Zoom, like this cartoon, which is one of my favorites from this past year. And I think one question I keep asking myself is, what can we learn from the past to help prepare us to navigate the future? And I know 2020 is going to be a year to remember, but if I had to rewind the clock back to 1941, I'd say that was another year to remember because of a lot of the changes that happened then. Our country, of course, was on the heels of the Great Depression, just coming out of it. And there's a lot of things that our businesses were going through that I think we could learn from. So I want you for a second, just imagine it's the year 1941. And imagine you're sitting in front of what is one of the first TVs to be out on the market, one of the first color TVs. And you're flipping through and you see some sitcoms on there. You flip through again, you see FDR, who's giving a speech, and you're like, oh, I don't have time for politics right now. And then you come across a baseball game. And the Philadelphia Phillies and the Brooklyn Dodgers are playing one another. And the inning ends, and all of a sudden the screen goes black. Now, what you're about to witness here is the world's very first commercial that aired in 1941 during this baseball game. And as you watch this, I want you to just think about the missed opportunity, because I kid you not, this ad is so underwhelming for the world's first commercial. So I'm just gonna go ahead and play it, and then we can talk about it.
America runs on Bulova time.
That was it. Bulova watches took a 10-second spot in between this baseball game to run the world's first ever commercial. And essentially what they did was they took their same exact radio ad and put it on TV with a voiceover and just that static image there. And if I could just make this interactive for a moment, take a wild guess at how much that commercial costs. If you had to just think for a moment, maybe jot it down on a pen and paper in front of you. Was that ad $90,000? Do you think it was $9,000, $900, or just $9? I'll give you a minute just to think about it, or a second just to think about it, because the answer is $9. That ad, that was one of the first was the first commercial to air in 1941 in the entire broadcasting industry, was only $9. And as I mentioned, the big missed opportunity there was that they just thought about the past in terms of, let me just take this radio ad, the execs at Bulova Watches thought, and let's just put that on TV and it'll be fine. We'll just take what's working for us on radio and we'll put it on TV as we see this paradigm shift in our industry, as the country comes out of the Great Depression. We'll be fine. And as Bulova Watches, who was a market leader at that time in watches, did that, there's another upstart watch company who looked at this new medium and this new opportunity of television and said, you know what, we could do better. We could innovate. And that new watch company was called Rolex. You may have heard of it. And if I had to give you a very simple pop quiz, which brand is worth more today, Bulova or Rolex? Obviously, it would not be Bulova, it would be Rolex. And it's because Rolex is now worth over $8 billion, whereas Bulova, $250 million. Not a lot. It's not a tiny amount, but it's certainly not a lot if you consider Bulova being the market leader in 1941 and Rolex just coming out of nowhere and being so much further ahead today. And I think if there's one thing we could learn is that when you ask people in 1941 what America runs on, they'd say Bulova, right? They had such a lead. But today America says they run on Dunkin'. And that just goes to show how much they squandered the opportunity, because in 1941, the same is true for right now in 2020, which is that change is the only constant. And the internet is replacing TV like TV replaced radio. Because again, 2020 has been an accelerant of so many things, and in really taking our messaging and our marketing online is how we're going to take advantage of this moment as we try to pivot our business and our messaging, especially when it comes to taking advantage of all the changes that are happening. So the big question in this presentation I want you to ask yourself is, are you going to be the next Bulova or the next Rolex?